kind of got together and we started getting to know each other and some of our interests and where we worked, what our pursuits were. We talked a lot about certifications, about getting a job, about getting a better job, about making more money, about entrepreneurship. And I think that we were able to identify something really good that happens in this group is that a lot of the problems that we all have that we come to the group about can actually be answered within the group. A lot of the times when you do not have a community, you are left outside alone in the rain by yourself, and you might not know where to look for the answer. So I'm really appreciative of this group to be able to find the answer in a group of Black women. One of the things that got highlighted out of that meeting in April, which was the cause for our meeting in June, is that we know a lot of stuff. Me particularly, I'm in government contracting, and that was something that kind of got highlighted for everybody. And somebody said, hey, can you present a little bit about that to us? I was like, sure, I hyperfixate, I can let y'all know about government contracting. So I know that it is new to some people on the call. Some people may have heard the term before, and some people may be asking, like, how does this relate to me? So this is going to be an introductory workshop to government contracting to see if it's something that you're interested in and how I can help you if you want to get into it. So we'll be going through what is government contracting. We'll be going through choosing your path, a couple of different paths that people go through, how to get started in government contracting, the cheat code, which is layering some of those different pathways, and also I'll share with you some resources at the end. Okay, so getting started, what is government contracting? This is going to be the only time that you see me read off the screen, but that is because this is one of the best definitions that I have come up with. So government contracting, imagine that government has a big to-do list like we all have and hires help to check off items. This is government contracting, where the government hires companies or people to do specific jobs such as building roads, supplying office materials, doing hair, doing nails, doing project management. These are jobs that are agreed upon through a formal contract. So government contracting is literally them just hiring us to check off things on their to-do list. And I want to go into who can be a government contractor because some of you may be on the call and it may sound some kind of way. So while I go through this, when you hear government contracting, let me know what it is that you hear. When I first heard about government contracting, and that's me coming from the military, I immediately went to, oh, those are defense contracts. I felt intimidated. I felt overwhelmed. I felt like that it did not apply to me. So if you feel any of those ways or anything else, let me know in the chat and I'll look. But who can be a government contractor? Any individual or company can be a government contractor. Everybody on this call can be a government contractor. On the slide, you'll see that I listed a couple of entities that can be a government contractor, such as sole proprietorships, single member LLCs, corporations, partnerships, nonprofits. And I want to highlight sole proprietorships or single member LLCs. So when Jessica was presenting, I asked the question, do you have to be a registered business to apply for a grant? In that case, the answer was it would do you very well to be a registered business in order to get the type of grants that Jessica and her business can get for you. Because I know you want to be a part of that $7 million, right? In government contracting, you don't actually even have to be a registered business. So a sole proprietor is somebody who is not registered with the IRS as an LLC or a corporation. It is the people who are on the side of the street selling food boxes out of their trunk. It is the food trucks that are not registered as an LLC that maybe do $6,000, $10,000 a year. It is when you sell a service or a product to somebody. Let's say you have an old laptop or a chair, or you do a going away sale at your house. That makes you a sole proprietor, even though you haven't registered anything with the state of Texas or with the federal government. That makes you eligible to be a government contractor. If you have something to sell, the government will buy it. You just got to find out where and which agencies. So some of the advantages to government contracting is it's generally steady and reliable income. The reason for this is let's say you were doing a going away sale at your house. You had a bunch of furniture that you wanted to give away. Imagine that the government is your client or your customer. They're going to keep buying that furniture because, as we have seen in the state of our country, probably over the course of all of our lifetimes, the government is very slow to change on so many things, and government contracting is no exception to that. If they are in contract with the company, there's usually a base period of, on average, about 2 to 3 years. So that's 2 to 3 years of steady and reliable income that's coming at the end of each month. There are also diverse opportunities across sectors. And this is very advantageous to me because I am a self-certified multi-hyphenate. And as PMs, I think that's kind of the characteristic of a lot of us. We're all pretty much good at a lot of different things, a jack of all trades. Government contracting is one of the only business setups that I know where you really don't have to niche down if you don't want to. You can sell pedicures one day to the government and sell aviation products on another day. So you can bid across all opportunities at will with government contracting, which is appealing to a lot of people. And then there's a low barrier to entry. Remember the part where I said that everybody on this call could start selling to the government? You don't have to worry so much about your marketing or about your strategy or about a lot of the things that come with selling to consumers or selling to the private sector that you do in government contracting. Now, getting into government contracting does not let you escape from the normal business woes that come with owning a business or with treating yourself and your services and products as a business. However, as business setups go, government contracting really does have the lowest barrier to entry. Okay, so we talked about what is government contracting, but I also want to give grace that everybody on this call does not own a business, has not thought about owning a business, but I want to put some things in perspective for you. So in general, a business, whether that is you yourself as your social security number and your given birth name, or if you are operating as Hyphenage or Precise Solutions or Amazon or Deloitte. In general, you are operating under one of the three paths. You are in commercial contracting, which is when you are a private, a for-profit or a nonprofit company, and you are selling to individuals or other businesses in the private sector. That means that all the money that is getting exchanged is in the private sector and in the economy. Then you could be a government contractor. So the funds that are exchanged during that is coming from taxpayer dollars. It's coming from you, me, and everybody on this call. It's the money that we pay the taxes to Texas, the taxes to the federal government. Sometimes even a portion of it is coming from our sales taxes, if you understand the way that finances circulate throughout the economy. Or you could be a salaried employee at a company, and that company is usually participating in one of the other two, whether they are a government contractor themselves or they're in commercial contracting. So this may seem like you have to choose, but at the end of this presentation, I'll tell you why you don't have to choose. Okay, so let's say right now that you are interested in getting in government contracting because you realize that I don't need to be registered with the state of Texas. I don't have to have this grand business scheme set up, and you want to know, how do I get started into government contracting? I've simplified it and distilled it a lot. So if you have questions, let me know at the end. But the first part of getting started in government contracting that I recommend is that you get set aside business certifications. So I think Jessica hit on this a little bit in her presentation, but you can get certain business certifications, which are usually free, and they tell a prospective client or customer, hey, I have a specific disadvantage or a differentiator that would support you and your goals, that would support your outreach. So you can get your business certified as woman-owned, you can get your business certified as minority-owned, as veteran or disabled veteran-owned, as LGBT-owned. There are so many different set aside business certifications that would enable you to compete with a lesser population for some of the money. In fact, the government is required to set aside a certain amount of money per year to these special groups. So to minorities, to women, to queer people, to Black people specifically, they have to set aside that money, and it's going to somebody. And I'll tell you this also before we get to step number 2. If they put out these contracts and we're not applying for them, so no women, no Black people, no people of color, no queer people, then that money that they set aside for us has to go to the big corporations. And that happens every year because people like us are just not in government contracting. So that taxpayer money is going to someone else. I'll go ahead and pause right now. Toy, I see you. You can come off mute.
Oh, yes. Hi. Hey, Star.
Yes.
Question about
Hey.
the certifications for like the
Yes.
women-owned, etc. Do you have a not a repository, but do you have somewhere that we can go to look to see, or like look to see some of those specific certifications, and then also kind of how to apply for those? I'm asking this way because I
Yeah.
tried at one point and it wasn't straightforward. Like it wasn't like I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, but it just seemed like they were asking for way more than I thought would be for just being a woman and being Black.
Yes. So after this, I'm going to send y'all a resource list that's going to include some of the links to the certifications. But since you have already started to get those certifications, I can send you, there's a checklist. I need to make one for myself, but there's a checklist that I made when I initially got my certifications that I can send out to you all, because a lot of these certifications are ran through the Small Business Association, which I definitely recommend everybody getting in touch with, get linked up with. They have a lot of free services. However, they don't distill it. They don't make it simplified. They let's just say that a lot of their material and resources were not made by somebody that is autistic and ADHD. I'll say that much, because I think that when you have one of those types of brains, you can ask some of the questions that a lot of us had. When I was going through my woman-owned small business certification, for instance, I got rejected the first time because I followed their instructions by the letter, and there was also some things that I didn't understand that I couldn't find an answer to. Eventually, I figured it out, right? Because I have my woman-owned small business certification as well as my service disabled veteran own certification, but those were things that I had to scour the internet to be able to find. So I do want to provide y'all with some resources to distill it, to streamline it, because time is money, time is limited, and we just need the ABCs. So yes, Tori, I will definitely send it to you. And I'm glad that you
Thank you
already
so much.
tried.
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Own it, own it. So step number 2 to getting started in government contracting, you want to sign up on government procurement websites. Now, step number 1 and 2, you can do interchangeably. However, when you sign up for those procurement sites or those supply sites, a lot of the times you're going to see opportunities that you want to bid on right then and there, like, oh, I can do this, or I can find somebody to do this. And if you see a set aside contract, you kind of want to already have those certifications so that you can actually act on the opportunities. Because I might see a project management contract for Harris County, but it's set aside for a woman-owned small business. There are strategies that you can take to be able to still bid on those contracts. However, it's a lot easier if you are eligible for some of those certifications, or your business is, then just go ahead and get those, because they take the longest to get. So you want to sign up for government procurement websites, and those are websites where the government, they will put their to-do list on there. Hey, we need somebody to build a road, or we need some training for our police force, or we need project management, we need marketing services, we need somebody to go to one of our state-funded elderly care facilities and do their nails and do their hair. So if you have those certifications, you can go ahead, and once you see it on the procurement website, you can go ahead and apply. Hey, Stacy.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks so much for the information. It's very insightful. I had a quick question about what is the timeline to get a set aside certification process and approved?
Oh, that is a great question. And it's also relevant to the time we are in right now. So it varies by different certifications. A lot of us on this call, or everybody, depending, will qualify for the Woman-Owned Small Business certification. The SBA is actually, the Small Business Association is actually halting woman-owned small business certifications on August 1st. So if you can get an application in before August 1st, you typically will get a response back at least within 90 days. However, because your application will already be in their queue. However, on August 1st, we don't know how long they're gonna stop accepting applications because they're redoing some of their processes, hopefully to speed it up, but we just don't know. So a lot of people right now in the government contracting space, especially women, are trying to get their certifications in before August 1st, which is possible to get it submitted, especially with the resources that I'll hand you after this. But for my service disabled veteran owned certification, that took maybe about a month for a turnaround. There are ones that take a lot longer. The 8A program or the 8A certification, as well as the Hub Zone certification, which the 8A certification is for minorities who can prove that there has been a disadvantage to them. So maybe there's an opportunity that you didn't get, and you can, and I say this loosely, you can prove that you were withheld an opportunity because of one of those differentiators that you have, whether because you're a woman or because you're a Black, because you were Alaskan Native, etc. That one takes a while. And I would say, when I say a while, I mean, you could be minimum 4 to 6 months for that one. The economically disadvantaged woman-owned certification, that one does take longer, minimum 4 to 6 months. And oh, thank you, Adora said it will be available in September. That's wonderful. That's cool. As well as the Hub Zone certification, which is one for if you are in an area where there's just not a lot of business at. Usually those are going to be your more rural towns. Houston is not a hub zone, by the way, if anybody lives in Houston. But if you live outside of Houston, your area and your business is registered there, then you may be eligible for a Hub Zone certification. And that one as well, 4 to 6 months minimum. So the quickest one is the one for veterans, but I believe that is because a lot of our information is already in their systems. And then the woman-owned small business certification was the second fastest one for me. Again, that one, I think it was less than 3 months for sure. But that does not include me getting it wrong. So it took probably somewhere between 2 to 3 months for me to apply, and then I got it wrong, and they send it back to me, and then it was probably another 2 to 3 months once I got the information right and resubmitted for that. Cool. And thank you, Adora. Yes, so everybody, if you see in the chat, it'll be available in September, and I'm hoping that means that their process will be faster, because we give them all of our information for it anyway. They get your firstborn child, your social security number, your driver's license. Like, you can see, hey, I identify as a woman. Give me the certification. So I hope that answers your question. Cool. So that's step number 2. Going on to 3, that's when you want to research those opportunities on those websites. So that's when you'll see, I believe me and Jessica just saw one a few months ago or weeks ago that somebody in Harris County, they wanted to order baked goods.
Yeah,
for
$16,000 worth of baked goods. That's it.
Yeah, repeat that, Jessica. What was it?
It was $16,000 worth of baked goods for some type of conference, and that was it in December. I was like, you see this?
Exactly. Like you can put generally about a 15 to 30% profit on top of it, even outside of your operating expenses, whether that includes somebody else making the baked goods or whether you're making them yourself. Yes, we are leaving money on the table. There was another one that we saw, or that I saw more recently on another procurement site, not for Harris County, but it was the one that was asking for somebody to do esthetician services for some of the elderly, state-funded elderly homes. So going in, I don't know if any of you have ever went to like a rehab or a senior home before, but sometimes one of the things that they offer is nails and hair, and you can get a haircut, you can get your beard shaved, whatever it is like that. If it is state funded, that means that there is a company on the other side that is a government contractor providing those services, right? So it could literally be anything. I've seen the stop cones in the middle of the street when they're doing like construction and stuff like that. There's usually a separate contractor providing the cones than there is the people that are doing the work. So leaving money on the table. So I would definitely want to encourage everybody to entertain the opportunity of entrepreneurship, whether that be something grand like a full company that you want to scale, or whether it's you have some type of service or product that you on your own could offer towards anybody, and why not make the client or the customer the government? And then the last step on here that I wanted to highlight, it might seem a little intuitive, but I talk to a lot of government contractors every day, and it is not. You need to prepare and submit bids. You know, when Jessica did her icebreaker and my word was boom shakalaka or percolate, and I was like, for me, that means to actually like do something. Don't just talk about it. Don't just think about it. Don't just research and surf the internet about it. Actually do something. There are a lot of people who have their set aside business certifications that are registered on the procurement websites that do research opportunities, but they never actually submit a bid. The only way you can get better and know if your proposals or your quotes are good, or if your business is set up correctly for a particular agency, is if you put your work and your creation out into the world and process improve in real time. So get the set aside business certifications, get on some of the websites, and I'll share some information with it afterwards. Research opportunities and find out whether you want to scatter bid on different types of things, or whether you want to niche down to particular services, and then submit the bids. Who said it? Yes, the government is the single biggest spender in the US. And some of that money is set aside for people on this call who look like us. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I just wanted to hit home on that. Okay, so finishing up. Earlier, I mentioned layering some different pathways. So it is unrealistic for everybody on this call, or everybody hearing this presentation, to say, hey, I'm going to quit my job right now and I'm going to start a business, right? You don't have to do that. In fact, a lot of people that work in government contracting or have contracts with the government also work a regular 9 to 5. There are different approaches that you can do, like the middleman approach is one that's really popular right now. You can also subcontract. So what that might look like in reality is doing your 9 to 5, and on weekends, you're finding vendors to fulfill the contracts and write proposals. You don't actually have to do the work that you bid on. You can find somebody to mow the government's grass for $50, charge the government $70, and profit that $20 just from doing the research and bidding on the opportunity, especially if it is a set-aside contract. Or you can spend weekends or nights to fulfill a commercial contract as a subcontractor. So one of my partners that I've been working with for the previous 2 weeks, they are bidding as what's called a prime contractor on some marketing services, but they have a requirement to put out, I think, 9% or 15% of the contract to a woman-owned small business. So they are subcontracting me. So my client is a commercial company. It is a regular for-profit company, but the work that we're doing and their client is the government. So there are so many ways that you can get into government contracting. It improves your authority, your reputation, it's stable income, and there are a lot of different ways where, going back to our things, you can meet your financial freedom, you can get some stability, and you can build the life that I think all of us kind of have talked about over the time that we've known each other. It's all about growing, getting better, doing more things, getting more fulfilled. This is just one way to layer and do that with government contracting. Hey, Nanya.
Hi, sorry, I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but
No.
how did they find you? How did this prime contractor find you? I am a subcontractor as well, and I teach, and the company found me on LinkedIn, and it was very random. So I'm really curious as to, do you market that? Is that, how do you build up that kind of pipeline of work?
Oh, yes. So because I operate as a prime and a subcontractor, what I do is and I'm looking at opportunities all day. It's my full time, right? So for this particular role, it's with not Texas State University. It is with the Harris County Airport, actually, or Houston Airport Systems. So that includes IH, Ellington, and the other one that we have that I can't remember right now. There was a bid that I saw that seemed pretty interesting to me, but I didn't qualify for it as a prime because it required you to have a gazillion employees, which I do not at the time, but I'm manifesting it. Hello. It required you to have a certain amount of employees, so I couldn't bid on it because I didn't meet the requirements. But what I did is I looked at the sign-in roster, which is not always available on these after you have like a pre-proposal meeting. But sometimes they do put it on there. And I look at the sign-in roster, I get the email addresses, do a little bit of market research to see who might need that set aside or who could need my services or help, or it could be advantageous to them. And then I just email them. So this company, I saw them on the sign-in roster. I narrowed down like the people that I was going to reach out to. And I reached out to probably about 3 or 4 companies, and I said, hey, you've been identified, or I've identified you as one of the lead companies for this bid, like telling them that, hey, I think you're going to win the bid, and I want to see how I can help you win this bid or put you above the edge. So I reached out to them and said, hey, you're a leading competitor for this, and I see that there's a requirement for a 15% woman-owned small business. I have that certification. Would you be interested in getting a meeting to see how we can help each other out? And they replied back to me. We met, personality hire. I'm the subcontractor on their bid. And that's exactly. There are so many different ways to market yourself that don't include getting on social media and getting on LinkedIn and stuff like that or whatever. Like these people, the work is already there. In business, a lot of the times you have to worry about generating demand, which I work in marketing. So there's something called demand generation, which is where you start to you have to do a lot of work to make people aware of your business and aware of your brand. In government contracting, you don't always have to do that. You can reach out to them. The demand is already there. The government is going to find somebody to do it. So let me see how I can participate in where the demand already is. So yes, that is one tip that I definitely recommend. Go to the sign-in rosters, find the companies, reach out to them. Just don't reach out to everybody because you cannot, or it would look bad if 5 different companies included you as a subcontractor on their bid. Then it's like, then the agency is going to be looking like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem like a partnership. This seems like a scam. So definitely kind of narrow down your market research when you're doing that. Cool. Good question though. Cool. And that's actually the end of my presentation. For the resources, Lacey will share some of those in the chat, as well as I have everybody's email on this call. And so I'll send you out, like Toy, I'll send out that checklist for the woman-owned small business certification, as well as some more ways that you all can get into contact with me. One of my words this year was also like, again, do it. And this group, as well as like some other nodes that have been happening in my life, have made me understand that it might be time to open up me and my business. Because I put a lot of goodwill out into the world. I help people out all the time. It is what brings me joy. It is what fulfills me, especially because I'm in a position where there's a lot of things I don't have to worry about that I used to have to worry about. And because I am so grateful for that, I put a lot of goodwill out there. Toy to tell you, we met up. I think I talked her ear off for how many hours?
It was awesome. It was like a good 4 or 5 hours. And you didn't talk my ear off. You gave me a wealth of knowledge and information. So I much appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, but I am opening up things to be able to help out my community in ways that is needed, and also ways that I would like to do. Like this is what I want to do with my life. I want to show people other pathways and expose them to things that people that come from places like where I came from and where a lot of us probably come from, they just didn't have access to. So, each one teach one. But that is it again.